Trevor. Okay, moving on to our next speaker. I suppose our next speaker represents the great successful diaspora story. He emigrated from County Galway to Chicago in Illinois 20 years ago, and he now runs a chain of restaurants, but in what was, I think, a very great initiative by then Taoiseach Enda Kenny. He was appointed as a senator on behalf of the diaspora, a voice for the Irish, whether they be in America, Canada, England, Australia, New Zealand, wherever they are. He is a voice, if you like, on your behalf. So he is going to come up, and I think it's fair to say he's devoted a lot of his personal time to this issue, and we're going to hear now what he has to say. So would you welcome Senator Billy Lawless.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much, Ken. I'm really honoured to be here as a senator for part of the diaspora. I think most of us who have immigrated always felt that we were slightly neglected across the pond, as we say, in all countries. And I'm so delighted that I was appointed by Taoiseach Enda Kenny. And I hope it will be carried on when I'm not there, and that the people will have a voice, or the senator, wherever he or she may be, for the diaspora. But you know, when you're abroad, and I'm there 20 years now in Chicago, and I went there, I went by choice. I want to make that clear. I went for a challenge. I'm not sure whether I was making the same choice today, whether I'd be travelling over there or not. Probably not. But a lot has changed in the United States as well in the last year. But yes, I think Trevor just mentioned there as well, before I just start, about a couple of issues that I want to bring to your attention. But voting rights to us Irish abroad is vital, so it is. We feel that those of us that, most of us are invested in Ireland. We want to be part of Ireland, and we want to have a say. We are one of only 3 countries in the European Union that doesn't have a vote overseas. And it's not going to change the world, so it's not. Because if you look at the record of people that are voting in different countries, it's only about 6% of people that vote. But those people that do vote really want to have a say in their home country. And I don't think it's too much to ask that we are allowed vote and in the presidential election. Because I really do believe that the president is a ceremonial role, but a very important one, because he or she, and we've had great presidents in the last few years, so we've had, we are proud of the presidents that we've had. But we would like to have a say. And, you know, and then let's see what happens. A lot of people, oh, if you don't know representation without taxation. Well, that isn't true, so it's not. So I just do hope, and I'm sending a message as well to the Irish people, that they support our referendum. I think it will probably be 2019, and you might clarify that, Minister. Because it wouldn't be in time for next year's presidential election anyway. So, I mean, it's 7 years, so we'll wait. We've waited a couple of hundred years, so what's another year or two to wait at this stage? But I would like to bring to your attention about the issues coming back. And, you know, I'm not going to say too much because it's been all said. And thank you so much for all of you who gave your testimony here today. Thank you. And unfortunately, most of them have been negative. But thank God there was one very positive, or 2 maybe. But then there was issues, of course, with your sons and daughters to university, which I am very strong on as well. I think it's wrong that our citizens who have been here, and those of our citizens who go ahead, highly successful professional people, and we've all, I'm not just talking about professional people, of course, but there are professional people who leave this country and get invaluable experience abroad. And when they come back, you can imagine what that means to this country, and it's proven how valuable that experience is that you have. And to say that you come back, and just because your child wasn't, you've gone since before 2014, and now you come back and you're paying full fees, I think that's wrong. And I know there are issues, and the Minister might mention them as well when he's speaking, but I think it's wrong, and I am bringing it up, and I have brought it up in the Senate as well. The other thing that has come, I just looked at the figures, and thank you very much, Karen, for all the figures and facts and set out really clearly. The major issue is driving license and insurance. And I've been on this for a long time. Funny enough, in Illinois, when I got involved with the Irish immigrants, Irish citizen immigrants in Chicago 15 years ago, of course they were all driving illegally. None of them had licenses. And I see Cyril here, my colleague, who is now chairman of the United States, way above their weight. But our numbers are dwindling, of course, because most people, we don't have the same immigration because we can't immigrate, especially to the United States. But we got the driving licenses for undocumented immigrants passed in the Illinois state 4 years ago. And since then, 300,000 undocumented, including all our Irish, have passed their test and are driving. And we found it, it took a lot of work, but we said that anyone that is driving a car has got to be insured. And it was a seller and a winner. But now the roads are safer, the citizens are safer in Illinois, and our undocumented are driving and not being afraid of racial profiling or pulled over being undocumented. So those type of things, and we have actually we're discussing at the moment with the Illinois, just to fill you in on the states, we have in the different areas, every state has its own licensing. So it's very difficult if we have to get a reciprocal agreement. And we're going to try it because there's only about 9 or 10 states, and Kieran, you might correct me if I'm wrong here, but really with the main concentration of Irish. So we're starting in Illinois, we're going to try and get a reciprocal agreement with Illinois. They have a reciprocal agreement already with 3 countries. Illinois has Italy, France and Germany. Well, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to swing it, Cyril, for the Irish in Illinois. And if that succeeds, we can go to New York, Massachusetts, and the main concentrated areas where the Irish are. So they are things that we are all of us advocates. And again, I cannot praise loudly enough the Irish advocates and the Irish centres in the United States. They do Trojan work on behalf of the Irish, and they're always there. And I think Trevor was right there that Kieran would put up the phone anytime, night or day.
That's not a boast.
But it's very important. But we feel very bonded, I can tell you, and close to Ireland. And we will be working really extremely hard on the whole driver's license issue. I'm glad to see that the insurance companies at the moment seem to be coming around, and they've told us that in the next couple of months they will be accepting no claims bonus from the countries of our returned citizens. So that should reduce the cost of insurance. And it's outrageous. When you see one of our top diplomats, Ray Bassett, who was an ambassador and overseas for 6 years and retired, I mean, he's outraged. He came home after 6 years of foreign service, giving great service to Ireland as a diplomat, and he was quoted something like 5,000 or 6,000 for his insurance. He's one of the men you can imagine why wouldn't he be? So there are issues, and I said to the minister, and he agrees with me, there's a lot of small, niggly little things. If a young couple coming home with the young children, they can't book in advance to try and get their child into a primary school. That's wrong. I mean, that's wrong. And as one of our speakers, Edam here, said about our citizens that went abroad, we did the state a service. Well, 200,000 people left. I mean, what would the unemployment have been if all those citizens hadn't left? And they want to come back now. And if you look at the figures here, I just see most of them seem to be coming from Australia. And I was trying to look, and only 9% from the United States. I think it's the distance that Australia is away from Ireland. I've always maintained that America is Ireland's natural immigrant home because it's so historical going back to our founding days. Where Australia, I know that we were sent to Australia for different reasons a while ago, so we were. But so I just see for about 41% of the returning immigrants came from Australia. But it's wrong that we're putting these barriers up for our citizens returning. We need our citizens returning to Ireland, and especially now they want us back because there's a shortage of labour. There's a shortage of skilled labour in this country. And what better than someone who's been away for 5 to 10 years and the experience you get, it's a different experience. When you're away from home, you learn how to survive and how to get on. And then you come back with the knowledge that you've built up. So again, I know that there's other speakers and there's other questions. My brother is here as well from Dubai, who's retiring back to Ireland. And I know he has something to ask you, Chairman, during question time. But I just want to, I think this is a thank you to Kieran and to Karen and Ken for organising this. I think it's an excellent forum. And I want to welcome all the people who are watching across the world. Contact us. That's what I am here for. I'm representing you abroad. Minister for Diaspora, Kieran Cannon, represent you as well. And we are proud to represent you. And thank you for your attendance here today. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. That's Senator Billy Lawless, and as I said, Billy left Galway 20 years ago. He's now based in Chicago, Illinois. And for those of you watching online, Billy is your man effectively in the Shannon in terms of voicing what you want to say and, if you like, expressing the difficulties that you've been going through in trying to return to Ireland. Now, before we come to our final speaker, our keynote speaker, we will be opening the floor